Hi, I'm disability lawyer David Brannon. In this video, I'm going to take you through the different types of choices for the hearing of your CPP disability claim before the Social Security Tribunal. That's a bit of a mouthful. So after watching this video, you're going to know the different choices you have for the type of hearing that you can choose and some of the pros and cons of each of those choices. Now, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification to get notice of these videos that come out a few times a week. So what type of Social Security disability hearing should you choose? This is a choice that you're going to have once your CPP disability appeal gets to the tribunal phase. And you're going to be asked in one of the forums to pick the type of hearing you want to have. Now, there are 4 types of hearings that you can pick from. There is the old traditional in-person hearing where you show up at a physical location, you're in a room with the judge, and there's an in-person presentation. That's the traditional old school way of doing it. The second choice is there is a phone hearing. So it's just done by telephone. You phone in, there's a telephone conference, everybody's on the line, and you carry out the hearing over the phone. The third type is a video conference to your computer. I'm just looking for I don't have it here. It's to your computer or on your cell phone where there's video, and they use Zoom, and you can do it that way. Then the last way is video conference at a Service Canada center where you don't use your own equipment. You go to a Service Canada equipment and use their video conference equipment. Now, I'm going to go through each of these and go through the pros and cons, but that just gives you a bit of an overview. So let's talk about the first one will be the in-person hearings. These are the traditional ways of doing it where you set your hearing, you show up, you go in there, you're going to be eyeball to eyeball. You get to personally meet the judge. They can see you. Now, there obviously are some advantages to this in that they can see you, they can see all your nonverbal, communications, and that is the primary advantage of it, is that it's in person, it seems more personal, it's more likely that they are going to understand your situation, at least that's what people think. And so that is why a lot of people would think maybe an in-person hearing is good. Now, there are some significant drawbacks to in-person hearings. Number one, if there is a health crisis like it's going on right now, at the time of shooting this video, in-person hearings are not even happening because of social distancing and all these types of things. So that is a big barrier against doing in-person hearings. Another big problem that I find with in-person hearings is they're just way more inconvenient. So you will wait longer to get ones assigned because they have to get a judge that's local to you, and you got to wait for that judge to have time freed up. Then you've got the day of the hearing is a lot more stressful. You got to travel to get there. You got to most of these hearings are held at Service Canada offices, and when you get there, they're not going to know what's going on. They're not going to realize you're supposed to be there. You're going to be waiting. People will be scrambling around. It's going to be a very stressful experience. I've been through this. I've done many hearings in person, and I don't think I've ever had one that went smoothly when I showed up at the Service Canada Center. There's just not good communications, at least every time that I've done it. There's never been good communications. They were never ready for us. The room wasn't ready. They didn't know, it's just that kind of a chaos when you get there. You also have to deal with lineups. So if you get to the Service Canada office and there's a lineup out the door of people waiting for their EI check or filing for EI, you're in the line. So don't show up 5 minutes before because you're going to be late. There's just so many disruption and things that can happen when you have these in-person hearings. And finally, one of the barriers to in-person hearings is it can limit your choice of advocate or lawyer that you want to hire. CPP disability, there's usually not enough money there to pay someone to fly across the country or to travel long distances to come to your hearing. And so you're limited in who you can hire to represent you. You'd have to find someone locally who's going to be in your local area. And that can limit your choice of who you can represent. Okay, so that is the pros and cons of an in-person hearing. The second one is a telephone conference. Now, this used to be one of the most preferred ways to do it, and it gained popularity over time, and eventually over this last several years became more popular than in-person hearings. This is where you do your hearing is done. You can be at your own home. You can be anywhere where you can take a phone call. I've had clients, they couldn't be in their home because they have dogs and kids and everything else, so they would go out in their car and do it right on their cell phone. Or I had people who didn't have a landline phone and no bad cell reception, so they had to drive and do it parked on the side of the road in their car. Okay, I've done these hearings parked on the side of the road in my car. Basically, you can be anywhere as long as it's quiet and there's not other people there, and you have your hearing, paperwork with you so you can refer to it during the hearing. You can do it anywhere. So it's super convenient. One of the things you lose with a telephone hearing is you don't have that in person. They don't get to see you. So you lose a little bit there, but you gain in the fact that you're going to get a faster hearing because now they can book you with any judge in the country, right? It's not just your judge in your local area. It can be anybody. So you get a faster hearing. You'll also have a better choice of advocates because you can be represented by an advocate or a lawyer who lives anywhere in the country. I've represented people all in the four corners of Canada through telephone conferences back when those were the main way of handling a by distance conference. And even once I famously had a client in the middle of the Yukon with dirt roads, like just completely middle of nowhere. And he did the hearing with a cell phone. And the judge was in Ontario and I was on the Atlantic coast. And I remember the judge saying, we are definitely in new times here. If we're doing this hearing, like we're all in different parts of the country. So that is one of the benefits of the telephone hearing. The other benefit of the telephone hearing is there's no technology needed. So everybody can use a phone and it's as simple. There's very little to go wrong. You don't need internet. As long as you can get to a phone, it will work. So the next one here is my personal favorite. Doesn't mean this is going to be the right choice for you, but my personal favorite is video conferences using your personal computer or mobile device. So the Social Security Tribunal uses the Zoom platform, and I applaud them for that. I could not believe actually that they chose to use that platform because it is the most user-friendly platform for the general public, and that's why they chose it, and they should be applauded for that. Typically, governments are going to pick the most unuser-friendly custom platform that no one can use except the government, right? So this is a one situation where they chose a very user-friendly platform. So anybody can get the Zoom app for free. You can use it on an iPad, a tablet, your smartphone, or your personal computer. You just need a device that allows video and audio so you can talk. Once you have that, the advantage of this over a telephone conference is you can see people. Just like you're seeing me right now, this is actually what it would look like. You would see me, you would see the judge, it would go back and forth. And so it does give a little more personal to it. They can see some more of the nonverbal communication, which is important. And the beauty of doing it on your own device is convenience. You don't have to travel anywhere as long as you have a quiet place in your house. Or again, if you got good Wi-Fi, you can go out to your car and do it there. You can go to a friend's house, wherever it's going to be quiet and you can get good internet access is where you're going to want to do this. There's no travel needed, and there wouldn't be any limitations on the representatives you could hire. So you could hire a representative anywhere in the country because they're going to be zooming in with so to speak. And the last option, and this is the one I tell everybody, run away, do not do it. This is video conference using Service Canada's technology. So what it would mean is you would choose a video conference and it would be held at a Service Canada center. So you get the advantage of it still can be assigned to any judge around the country because the judge will be able to do the conference by video. But you get all the bad things that come with booking an in-person hearing at a Service Canada office. You now have to deal with lineups and you don't know what kind of chaos you're going to be in when you get there. So if you're doing any of these hearings that are going to take place at a Service Canada office, I tell people you got to show up an hour early minimum, because when you get there, they're not going to be ready for you. There's going to be, I've got there and for whatever reason, there was a literal lineup out the door for people with EI issues and things like that. So it's just so much chaos that can go on when you get there, and you can't cut the line. I've tried to cut the line. They don't care if I'm there for a hearing, quite honestly. I've gotten there where, traffic was held up, you get there late, and now you're in a lineup for half an hour and you're late for the hearing because there's, a lineup of people ahead of you with questions for the one person at the front desk who's dealing with everything. So just avoid all that. Do not do these. The other thing is there's a lot of technical issues that go wrong with the video conferencing. If they just don't happen to have their tech guy on site and they're not going to plan for it because they never really know you're coming. And so it's just a bad experience. It's a worse experience than even in-person hearings, these in-person video, these on-site at Service Canada video conferences. Now, if it's your last resort and you absolutely cannot do one on a personal computer or a mobile device, and you don't want to have an in-person one because you want a quicker hearing and these types of things, or you want your choice of an advocate or a lawyer who lives somewhere else around the country, then yeah, you could do these, but again, try to put them as a last resort. So there you have it. That is the pros and cons of each of these types of hearings. My personal favorite is the Zoom version of the video conference that you do from your personal device. It's very user friendly. It works well. We've had people do them from phones, from computers. Never had an issue. We've done many, hundreds of, at this point, hearings here at Resolute Legal, and we have not noticed any difference in person versus phone versus video conference. So there's not this idea that you're taking a real, your chances are going to go way down if you do a video conference or video or teleconference. We have not seen that. Now that's just our experience. Doesn't mean that won't happen elsewhere. But in our experience, you win or lose these cases not at the hearing, but in the preparation, in the time leading up to the hearing, and the written submissions you send in. That's where these cases are won or lost. They're not won or lost at the actual hearing itself, in my opinion. I mean, sometimes the hearing can push it a little tiny bit here or there if the judge just needs that little bit extra to put them over, but really the case is won or lost before then. So keep that in mind when making your choice. And if you have any other questions about this, please drop the questions down below. I wish you all the best of luck. Don't forget to like the video, leave us your comments, and we'll see you next time.